Business owners, public servants, and fellow corporate hippies, do you want to make a bigger impact in your world, but your words let you down? Perhaps you ramble, perhaps you lose your words, perhaps you go down all the rabbit holes. Book a free confidence boosting curiosity call, and I will give you the next best step for you to increase your speaking confidence and impact. Look for confidence boosting curiosity call link in the show notes. Welcome back. Welcome to another episode of Speaking with Confidence. I'm Kat Matson, and on this show, I coach, yes, public servants, business owners, humble leaders, and other corporate hippies how to speak with confidence, authority, authenticity, and impact so you too can make your desired impact in the world. How are you? I hope you're having a fabulous day doing whatever it is that you're doing and that something has made you smile today. Today, I am answering another community question. Now, this question is a biggie. It's huge, and it's one that I've personally grappled with myself. The question comes from Nicole, and she asks, how do I bring everything I know together? So another way to think about this question is, how do I demonstrate my extensive experience, knowledge, skills in a job interview? Or in Nicole's case, I know it's, how do I demonstrate that I have lived experience and deep skills across a number of areas, a number of modalities that matter to my target clients as a business coach? This is a challenge that I have grappled with a lot because I have extensive and broad and often seemingly random experience. I've worked with long-term unemployed youth, I've worked in hospitality, I have worked in the public sector, I've been a business owner, I've worked in marketing, I've worked in social media. Like, it's a weird, in some respects, collection of skills that I have now pulled together to create my current business, which is facilitating and coaching and teaching people how to show up in the world. And in a world where we've been told that we need to summarize our brand in a very quick tagline, in a world where we've often feel like our careers were meant to be linear. You know, we leave school, we study something and we become a something, and that's what we've been doing. It can feel really weird to kind of say, I can do a lot of things, which means I can help you in a lot of ways. So how have I dealt with this blessed and lucky predicament? So I think to answer this question for Nicole and for you as a listener, there's two things to consider here. First of all, there's the meta. How do you answer this at a meta level? You know, when you're thinking of messaging over the long term, how do you demonstrate your knowledge over months, potentially even years? I know this was something that I became very present to in the public sector when the change that you're looking to make doesn't happen with one conversation. It does not happen with one meeting. In fact, it happens quite literally over time. I was Brisbane's Chief Digital Officer for 7 years, and I look back and a lot of my most significant achievements took 6.5 years to implement. How do I plan for that kind of influence, particularly at the beginning when you don't realize that it's going to take that long? That's what I mean by the meta. How do we plan for that longer term influence? Now, if you're a business coach like Nicole, how do you bring your community, your ideal clients who are thinking about working with you but haven't yet figured out whether you're their person? How do you take them on a similar journey? How do you kind of drop little cookie crumbs of information and keep moving them through the customer journey before they decide to buy? So that's the meta. at a more micro level, there are plenty of times when we are looking to make our flagship keynote presentation. Maybe it's a webinar. Maybe it's that first introductory webinar where you are pulling all of your key information together and demonstrating your awesomeness. Or perhaps it's in a job interview where you are needing to illustrate 20, 30, perhaps 40 years of experience across a diverse range of industries, roles, etc. So they're the two contexts that we're kind of talking about. In both contexts, I highly recommend the storytelling canvas. Now, there is a link in the show notes to the storytelling canvas. I love this canvas so much because I'm yet to find a communication need that the storytelling canvas doesn't work for. Now, you'll see when you download the storytelling canvas that it has I don't have it in front of me, so I'm just counting off a number of different sections that help you get really present to what you're trying to do. In essence, the first part that the storytelling canvas invites you to consider is who's your audience, what's your outcome, and what do they currently know? Like, what's the context? Now, in Nicole's case, where perhaps she's thinking of a signature webinar, how you would think about this is, well, what's meaningful for her audience to come along to a webinar? It's not about everything. It's about a key problem. It's about a key issue. It's about a key thing that they would like help with. But if I was to take that up at a meta level, what are the things, what are the different problems or scenarios that Nicole is helping people with? And so the context then from the storytelling canvas perspective is, well, I'm talking to these kinds of people who are experiencing these kinds of things in the world, in their world, I should say, and who want a different outcome. In a job interview, the context is, well, I'm applying for the job. The audience is the interview panel, but go deeper than that. The audience is the interview panel made up of probably the line manager, probably the people and culture manager, and possibly someone else who I'm likely to be working with. So they'll be looking at me for a culture fit. So that's the first element of the storytelling canvas. Now, when we get really, really, really present to our audience, whether we know who they are or when we're needing to make up who we think our audience might be, we can get very present to what they want to hear from us in order to make their decision, in order to be influenced, in order to move forward. Now, this is where the trick comes in terms of being authentic. Understanding what they want to hear is not about becoming a yes man or a yes woman. It's not about giving them what they want. It's about understanding what is the information that they're looking to gain here. What is going to help them make a decision? And so you'll see on the storytelling canvas when you download it, you have an extended version of what I talk about a lot on this podcast about your structures for impact, but very much about clarifying where do you want them to be at the end? Where are they currently now at the beginning? And then what is the beginning, the middle, and the end of your conversation going to need to be in order to demonstrate that? Now, to come back to Nicole's question, how do I bring everything together? You don't. You don't try to let people know everything you know about a topic, but you can infer different experiences through your brag bag stories. Now, if you haven't heard about my brag bag stories, I will pop some links into the show notes for different places to hear about brag bag stories. And basically, your brag bag stories are simply the stories that illustrate why you know what you know. And so rather than trying to tell everybody everything you know, you can infer it. So what do I mean by that? Well, last week I was working with a group of allied health professionals and they work in the disability sector. And a lot of the challenges that they face in the systems that they're working in are very similar to the experiences that I had in working with long-term unemployed youth. So I referenced that. I talked about working with juvenile justice kids. I talked about working with long-term unemployed youth. I talked about how we approach that. I didn't need to list all of the other things that led to that. I was able to infer a whole lot of knowledge. Similarly, when I work with early stage startups and aspiring entrepreneurs, I will talk with relevant examples of the different startups that I've worked with. So the really, I guess, simple answer to Nicole's question, how do I bring everything together, is you first frame what is it that my audience would benefit from hearing from me. What is the problem that they are trying to solve? What is the thing that they need help with? And then how do I frame what I know to serve them? And how can I infer the additional knowledge? The other thing, and I kind of alluded to this at the beginning when I talked about sometimes influence takes a long time. It's never just one conversation. Don't try to cram everything into one conversation. It's more about how do you take your audience on a journey? How do you build a relationship with them so they keep coming back for more? If you're a regular listener of this podcast, you have learned over time my different experiences, what I've been up to, what I've done, my different expertise. But that didn't all happen in listening to the first episode. It's the same with you, and our temptation to let everybody know everything that we know comes from, but what if the thing that they really want is the thing that I don't tell them, and I'll miss out on that opportunity? That might happen, but actually it's not about the content, it's about the connection. People hang around and people want to get to know more about you because they like what you stand for. They like your energy. They like your essence. So, how do you pull together everything that you know? Use the storytelling canvas to map out both your long-term meta content or your long-term storytelling, like what is the story that you're telling and why in a general business or work or career perspective. And think of as many different real life stories that you can use to illustrate that you can have at the ready, not to use every single time, but that you can have at the ready. Just collect that brag bag collection of stories. And then at a micro level, at a conversation by conversation level, where is your audience currently at, and what is the most useful pieces of information that you can use in this particular conversation to move them to the next conversation? I hope that answers your question, Nick. And in fact, for anyone listening, I would love to know, do you have a follow-up question? Like, it's kind of like, okay, that's great, Kat, but what next? Please ask. If you're listening on Spotify, you can literally ask the question below. Just literally tap on the Spotify app and ask me a question. If you would like to message me elsewhere, you know, the best place to do that is Instagram. Just reach out to me, DM me on Instagram. You can find me at @katmatson. And of course, the link to my Instagram account is in the show notes. But ask me the question. One, because I do my best work answering questions. That's one of the ways that I weave everything that I know together. But two, it will be in you asking the question and me answering that you will get the distinction that you specifically need to make sense of this information. A reminder too that in addition to my Instagram link, there is also a link to download the storytelling canvas in the show notes, and there's a link to book your free confidence boosting curiosity call where we will literally just have a chat for 20 minutes. You can tell me what you're struggling with when it comes to speaking and influence, and I will give you my top tips for your next best steps to move forward. Yep, that covers us for this particular episode. I hope you found it useful. Please, please, please pop your question below or reach out to me on Instagram to discuss further. I hope you have an awesome day, and until I see you again, here's to confidence and here's to impact. I'll catch you really soon.